Welcome everyone to the Fairs for Fitness YouTube channel. This video is going to be just pretty much me going through my personal progress that I've made in the past about 4 months. So it's not going to be strictly informative. I just wanted to kind of update some people that watched my training series, and also, you know, if you just want to know how I'm doing with my training, and also as kind of a reflection for myself, you know, video log and just talk about my training for a few minutes, where my progress is as far as body comp and future goals and things. So like I said, if you have been following me in my journey, if not, it's probably going to be really confusing to you, but if you have been following me, I competed in a show September 15th, 2012. So currently I am about 17 weeks, so about 4 months removed from my show. So obviously my goal after my show was to lean bulk in a sense, so gain weight, but do so in a manner, you know, responsibly, so I'm not putting on a ton of fat. Again, in the beginning of my prep, again, I was on stage about 150, and I put on about 4 or 5 pounds that first month, 4 or 5 pounds that second month. So about 8 weeks post show, I was sitting around 160, which is a lot heavier than I wanted to. But I mean, there were some days in there where you just know you eat, and your hand's not even a part of your body, kind of thing. And but I got past that, and I really controlled things. So once, you know, it was about 160, about 8 weeks post contest, but now I'm sitting around, you know, mid 162s. So since then, you know, so from 0 weeks post to 8 weeks post, I gained about 10 pounds. Probably mostly of it was fat tissue, maybe some, you know, glycogen and stuff like that, a little bit of muscle, but I'm not being naive about it. But then coming up tomorrow will be 17 weeks, so in the next 9 I've only put on about 2.5 pounds, which is actually a little bit lower than I'd like to gain. That's about 1 pound a month. I'm looking for about 2 pounds a month, but again, I just mean I need to eat a little bit more. I'm probably not, you know, not seeing gains that I should. So I've been really smart with adding the macros in. You know, again, since 8 weeks, I really started dialing things in because I was like, holy crap, we need to slow this down, right? So since then, I've pretty much been sitting around certain macros, and then if I hit my goal weight, like a little bit increase in the week, then I'll just keep them. And if not, I'll usually just add like 10 grams of carbohydrate or, you know, 2 grams of fat. So this week, I'm going to raise things a little bit more, a little bit bigger jump, probably about 15 or 20 grams of carbs and 2 to 5 grams of fat, simply because, you know, like I said, I haven't been gaining incredibly quickly, but, you know, for the most part, in summary, the first 8 weeks were not a total disaster, but definitely not where I wanted to be. But since then, I've been pretty spot on as far as, you know, the macros, hitting my numbers, not being incredibly anal about things, and then letting the scale and also my gym performance dictate how I increase my macros, right? So I'll go into the second part I wanted to talk about, was really just like my strength training. You know, lifting weights obviously is a big part of this. So again, I'm running my version of 531, which if you haven't seen that video series, was like a 7 or 8 part video series on that, if you want to go check it out. But essentially I just completed my 4th month really. Today's my last like heavy day of deadlifts. And I wanted to show you guys how I started my program with the actual 1 rep maxes, and then compare that to where I am now after 4 months of doing, you know, my training protocol with 531. So I'll go with kind of the biggest lifts first, then go down. Again, my deadlift to begin with was 315, and now it is at 365 going into my 5th month, so about a 50-pound jump in 4 months. Likewise with my squat, 295, and I started at 295, it is now 345. Bench, so that's a 50-pound jump. 210, this is for bench. 210 on bench press and 250 for bench press now, so a 40-pound jump, which is pretty dang good for me because my bench press is probably my worst lift of all time. And the military press was at 140, it is currently at 160, so only a 20-pound jump, but again, with a movement like that, it's a little bit harder to gain strength because, you know, upper body muscles are smaller than lower body muscles and all that stuff. But overall, so I have 50 pounds on squat and deadlift, 40 on bench, and 20 on military in 4 months. And then weight is kind of where I want it to be. I feel like 160 is kind of my hovering point, and I can just kind of slowly begin to add mass there. So those are my strength numbers currently. And again, I do track and try to progressively overload things with assistance exercises, but it's not a huge deal to me, you know, if my dumbbell curl isn't going up or whatever. Those are the big four. And I've also just seen, you know, I don't have like a posing update or anything, but I've also seen just like some visual changes again since that 8-week mark that I'm really liking things. So the past, you know, 8 or 9 weeks have been really, really good. And lastly, I wanted to make some kind of informative video, I guess. If you have watched my training series where I talked about the 5-3-1 hypertrophy and how I was doing things, I'm actually scaling things back a little bit. You know, I'm still sticking to the plan, probably like 80 or 90% of it. The one main thing that I'm doing is dropping volume a little bit. I'm probably not going to make a total video about this, but in a sense, you know, I had a lot of exercises that were like 4 to 5 sets or 5x5s or even isolation stuff, 3x4 sets. Pretty much what I'm doing now, again, this isn't concrete, but for the most part, when I'm performing 2 exercises for a muscle group, so take like chest for an example, the first movement I'll do is 3 to 4 sets of whatever rep range, and the second movement I do for that muscle group is 2 to 3 sets. And then if I happen to do a third exercise, which isn't very often, it's usually only 1 to 2 sets. So the volume isn't incredibly decreased, it's probably about 3 or 4 sets total throughout an entire workout. But I felt like my volume was a little too high, and I feel like I kind of hit the sweet spot with that. So again, anything you want to think about, you know, like squats. So you do 3 to 4 sets of your squats, and then your accessory leg quad movement could be like 2 to 3 sets of leg extensions or whatever. So a little bit less volume. I feel like I can recover a little bit. You know, with me training 5 days a week, you know, it's a pretty high frequency, and I felt like that's kind of my sweet spot. So that's what I'm working with now. So that's all I wanted to cover, guys. Pretty much where I was with my macros, body composition, my strength gains, performance in the gym, and also how I kind of changed up my training and whatnot. So hopefully you guys found this somewhat informative, again, with the lower training volume. And again, if you just like my personal progress, thought I would share it with some people, and also just kind of, you know, again, documentation for myself after 4 months of my off season. So I'll definitely be, I'm definitely excited after, again, like in these last, you know, 8 or 9 weeks, I've been spot on with everything pretty much. My strength's been increasing, so pretty much as planned. So I'm sticking with this plan, guys. I want to give 5-3-1 probably at least a year of really seeing where it takes me, and I'm really focused on improving these numbers. I might even dip into some powerlifting in the future or whatnot. So for the most part, I think if you're getting stronger in the compounds, you're pretty good to go. And again, like I said, body comp's going well, slowly increasing the macros, and looking for about 1 to 2 pounds of weight gain per month. So that's the video, guys. If you like this, make sure you like it. Also comment if you do or don't like these kind of just personal updates for me. Kind of helps me out to where I should go with my content. So that's it for now, guys. Like always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, go to the Ferris for Fitness Facebook page if you haven't already checked that out. And until then, guys, all more good stuff coming soon.